Hello and a very warm welcome to ET Studios powered by Proofpoint. Our topic today really brings two big ideas together. India's growing need for local, compliant data infrastructure and the shift toward human-centric cybersecurity powered by AI. Now here's the reality. Attackers don't just go after systems, they go after people. Phishing, social engineering, insider threats, people are often the weakest link. And at the same time, India's digital ecosystem is expanding fast with new regulations, compliance requirements, and a big push for local data centers. And the question is, how do we balance it all while keeping organizations safe? To unpack this, I'm joined in by Steve Moros, Senior Director of the Advanced Technologies Group at Proofpoint Asia Pacific in Japan, and Dr. Yusuf Hashmi, Group CISO Jubilant Bhartia Group, who lives this reality day in and day out. And together, we will explore what AI powered human centric security means for India and how local infrastructure plays a role in safeguarding the future. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today. It's our honor, sir. And let's start with you, Steve. You know, when we talk about AI powered human centric cybersecurity, let's start with that. What does that actually mean? And also, most importantly, why is it so critical for India right now?
Well, firstly, we have a survey that we run called Voice of the CISO. And so we surveyed 1,000 CISOs in India. 99% of the CISOs in India said they experienced some sort of material impact to data loss. So it's very important that we help organizations and leveraging some intelligence. So I'll just take a step back. When we look at the problem, it's a people problem. The attackers are targeting people and they don't actually log in. They don't actually hack, they actually log in. So they're targeting people. And we need to use some intelligence, and AI helps us do that. So Proofpoint, we built a platform called Proofpoint Nexus. And it's an intelligent platform that has machine learning models, AI models, a lot of data. We have 1.8 million customers, and we use all this data to help protect organizations from the attacks. So stopping attacks targeting people. So that's essentially what it is. But it's very important for India because with AI, it's helping the attackers escalate and be more sophisticated.
Now, thank you for bringing that point. And Dr. Yusuf, I'll bring you into the conversation as well. When we talk about the India's threat landscape, what are those challenges that actually makes the threat landscape in India different from anywhere else?
So India comes with tremendous amount of diversity, and which is very different environment than other part of the world. I think the most important is the amount of volume of data, which is because so many people are there, not only from personal perspective, your businesses and all. So there's humongous amount of data which is getting generated. So in such an environment with so diversified environment, you must have capabilities to actually churn out pick up the crown jewels. Because if you don't pick up what is important for me out of this whole volume of data, it's going to be very difficult for you to take the next step and action upon. So India's is environment is definitely unique. Is growth. We are growing exponentially every year, which means that the digital trust is something which is actually is required now because we are coming digitally enabled country like UPI, right? It's nowhere in the world where such large payment transaction happens. So we are so much digitally aligned now country. So I think we need to look forward and ensure that this is ecosystem is protected as well from cyber threats.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'll take those points across to you as well, Steve. And also, above of this, I know that Proofpoint has invested in a local data center in India also. Talk to us about that. Why is it so important for India, for the organizations in India? And also, how does it connect, you know, when we talk about data sovereignty concerns?
So look, very important point. We've made a lot of investments in India. India is a very important market. It's obviously got a huge population of 1.4 billion people, and maybe it's more than that. Last time I checked on ChatGPT. But what we've done is we've had three major investments. The first one is a local data center in Mumbai for data security. Now, when you look at the DPDPA, organizations require data sovereignty. So we will process the information locally here in India. So it will help with the banks, people that have confidential information, it will not go offshore. So that's the first thing. The second data center investment is for threat protection, which is email. Starting maybe go live in December this year, we will have our email data centers based in Bangalore and Mumbai to also offer that level of redundancy. And the third thing we've invested in is a center of excellence. So we're investing in people, resources, technical expertise, support infrastructure, and now we're up to from 0 people in the space of maybe less than 6 months, we have almost 200, and that's increasing. So it's very important that we support India on this journey, which is driven by the Digital Protection Act and also the increasing threat landscape targeting Indian organizations.
Yeah. You know, gentlemen, when we talk about, and I'll get you in the conversation as well, when we talk about data loss and DSPM, data security posture management, then these are the hot topics now. Everyone perhaps is talking about it. So, how are Indian enterprises sort of approaching this challenge? And also, what are those gaps? What are those blind spots that you are observing from your vantage point?
No, I think we in India have not been accustomed to understand the business data. Like we are the custodian, IT or cybersecurity, generally the custodians of the data. They may not have the idea what data is all about, right? So I think that will significantly now change. And fortunately, 28th September is the date when DPDP is going to be announced, the new rules. So it's going to be a game changer, right? Now, if you see from IT to digital, now from data security to data privacy. So there's a transition which is going to happen now. And because data is all around the organizations, right? I have no idea where the data is stored. And generally, there are five copies each of every document which gets created. One's there in your laptop, one is in a OneDrive, one is in a SharePoint. So that visibility is going to be very, very important. I need to know where my data is. And one of those data stores might be having personal data. So DSPM technology will really help me to discover my data, right? I would be able to actually manage the life cycle of the data, the lineage of the data from the point it gets created till the point it's consumed and finally dissolve or delete it. So it's very important for the organization to take that next step, discover the data, understand who has access to it, and of course, ensure the right set of people have the right access to the data. So I think this will be a new shift towards how you manage your data, right? And of course, privacy is one of the attribute of a data, right? So more focus towards data security. I would see that in the next 2 to 3 years, focus would be on data.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, when we talk about the next phase in India, a lot of organizations perhaps are talking about AI, the artificial intelligence, and perhaps no conversation is complete without talking about AI. It's in the boardrooms, it's in the headlines, it's everywhere, right? But when we talk about AI in cybersecurity, how realistic is it for the Indian landscape? I mean, where's the hype? What's the reality? Because the distribution, if we see in Indian organization, the adoption of AI, it's still very uneven, right,
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, look, I think we have to look at people, right? So we always want to be more productive. We have families, we have traffic in Bangalore, I experienced yesterday. And so time is scarce. And so we will use AI tools to do our jobs faster and more productive. So we're not going to stop it. Now, so that's just how we see the adoption. And if we look at what we've heard from CISOs, 75% of the CISOs in India said that they're very concerned about AI. The average globally is 60%. Now, there's 3 key uses for AI in terms of how we're seeing it unfold today. The first one is tools like ChatGPT. You ask it a question, you put text in there, and sometimes what they paste is confidential. So we need to have controls around that. That's the first use case. The second use case is downloading applications. There is hundreds of applications like Grammarly and things to help you write a better email and so forth. They will continue to use these tools because, as I said, human nature is to find shortcuts and be more productive. The third use case, which is the challenging one and kind of touches what you said around data, is around large language models. So let's say my organization is adopting Copilot. I have to give the large language model access to all of my data for it to be effective. Otherwise, it's rendered useless. Once I do that, there's two risks. One, what data have I exposed? You need to use some AI platforms to help you identify that and assess the risk. So DSPM does that, and we're in that market. But the second one that's concerning is this. If I'm a user, I have access to Copilot. Copilot has access to all of my data, confidential records, healthcare records, all those things. And now I click on a link and I give up my username and password. So now the attacker has logged in and has access to everything Copilot has access to. This is the biggest risk. What are we giving it access to? And what are the controls to mitigate the impact? So it's quite scary. However, it's also positive, right? I mean, it helps us a lot.
No, absolutely. You know, when we talk about attacks, and Dr. Yusuf, please come in the conversation, attacks often exploit human behavior as well, right? So when you are sort of investing in technology, how do you keep that balance between investing in technology but also keeping your employees more resilient and more that they know more about the attacks as well? Like, only technology isn't there in your organization, even employees are as much the part of it.
See, if you see 10 years back, there's very lack of sense of awareness was there. But it's not now. Now, most of the employees are very tech savvy because uh, earlier there was no mobile component. Now you have when they go to work, so the mobility, the mobile phone has really given a lot of awareness to the normal users or employees. But nevertheless, how do I make sure that my employees are well aware of what's happening around the thread? Are they ready to face any social engineering attacks, which every day? So there's email is of course the most common ways of actually phishing attacks. You have mobile, you have WhatsApp, you have phishing, you have phone. So there's so much of attack vectors which are there, with the normal person has to actually be really challenging for him to understand where could be actually compromised, my data get compromised, password get compromised. So I think more exercises is required because people are generally aware. So I would should more phishing exercises, simulations in multiple ways, not only just email, your WhatsApp, your phone, all the various methods that the attackers use to do social engineering. So I think regular testing is a must now, because AI has been used now to make it so convincing, right, for the users to really becoming so compelled to actually respond to attackers, because
Yeah.
attackers are now using AI, Gen
Yeah,
AI.
absolutely. Even AI isn't safe when we talk about AI,
Well,
right?
as I explained
Yeah.
before, right, the
Yeah.
AI model is potentially also
Yeah.
under attack.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, gentlemen, as we're moving towards the end of the conversation, to both of you, when we look at the future, like 2-3 years ahead from now, uh, what do you think? As in, how do you see AI and local infrastructure sort of reshaping the cybersecurity in India, and also what's that one change that you see happening in India in the next 2-3 years? We'll start with you, Steve.
The first thing I'll say is AI will be a force multiplier for both sides. We're going to use it more to protect ourselves better. That's happening, and it needs to happen because we need to use some machine-based assistance. So that's a key trend that's going to grow. On the attacker side, you see now globally, we're seeing attacks happen in local language, and AI is helping that. And it's also promoting them at scale, and they can be unsophisticated and at high volume. So the likelihood of someone making a mistake is very, very high. So we need to move from reactive controls to preventative. Stop it before it hits the person, pre-delivery. And we're using AI models to do that. So we're going to see a lot more of that. The thing that's going to change, and this is controversial, but Gartner backs it. If we look at the CISO imperatives released by Gartner, they spoke about the pivot to human-centric. And what we're going to see happening over the next 2 to 3 years, and right now, is pivoting from perimeter-based security to human-based security, so human-centric. Proofpoint's been doing this for a long time. We used to call it people-centric. Now Gartner has jumped on board and calls it human-centric. So we're going to run with that one. But the key point I want to make is the people problem is going to accelerate and become worse. And the perimeter, where is it? So we have to go to where the people work.
No, Dr. Yusuf, please come into this conversation as well. What do you see when we sort of look ahead, maybe 3 years down the line?
I think
It's a long time in cybersecurity.
No, leave aside cybersecurity. The digital landscape has really grown significantly. The way we used to do business, the way we used to do work was very different pre-COVID and now, which has significantly changed. So it's very important to understand, be abreast of what's happening around the world, what's happening, what can impact me as an individual. Because there's no one who's going to protect your data. You are responsible for your own system, right? So that kind of enablement I would see that it's going to be there very soon, that it's my data, I have to protect my data, right? Because companies or your IT folks or cyber folks would never be always with you. You are the one yourself responsible for your data. So I think that self-enablement, I would see that would be the one I could see. And AI was really going to help people in actually ensuring that data is being protected. And of course, it's all about AI and AI for security as well. So we have to secure the AI LLMs as well and use AI in cyber or other areas, which is already happening. So I think that would be really a game changer, is the enablement of self-enablement of my own security.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation. As far as I understand, that cybersecurity isn't just about building walls, it is about reacting as fast as your threats are
Exactly.
reacting. And now that we have AI, right, we have to be as intelligent
Yeah.
as the artificial intelligence.
Very
right?
true.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this
Thank you.
conversation. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many, many more such interesting and insightful conversations only at ET Studios.